Okay, so now, okay, so now I've gone live. Testing, testing my volume. Okay, testing my volume once more. Hopefully I'm coming in a bit louder. I apologize if you hear my dog in the background. I am watching them while my wife is away and they are loud. Okay, I'm just getting all my programs open at this point. Okay, my volume isn't as great as I would hope. Let's try to turn this up some more. Okay. Oh, let's sit up to the camera. All right. Oh yeah, you can definitely hear my dog whimpering in the background. I apologize. When I have my setup, it'll be a lot better. Okay, so we're gonna wait another 10 minutes and then we're gonna get started. I think I have everything open that I need opened, but let me just confirm. that. Like so. Okay, I'm getting all the windows ready to go. Okay, testing the chat, so hopefully that works. Okay, it looks like it works. Oh, I don't think I have everything open. So I've got Scrivener open, I've got InDesign open. I just need to get Photoshop open and then we're good to go. Jeez. Okay. Plug my phone in. So the contractors may or may not be starting to work exactly as I'm like in the middle of this, which is why I want to try to do this as quickly as possible, but this was the only real time that I had available to do this. So let's get started. Let me move Photoshop over here until I need it. I don't need it right now. Thinking I might want to make this like full screen like that, and then put myself like this, so that way we take up as much screen real estate as possible. Okay. Hello. Howdy, howdy. Silent Willow, welcome to the room. So I'm going to be just going through step by step. I'm going to try to go as slow um, as possible, or not be too quick about this whole process. But I do have chat visible, so if anyone has any questions, do feel free to um, share them, and I will try my best to answer as I go along in this process. It is as far as I've outlined it, it is an 8-step process. So I'm going to go through each step, and then with each step, I will tell you what program I'm using and what, I guess, equivalent there is, free and or otherwise. Most of what I use is paid. So I pay either a monthly service or a one-time fee. I will try to say what that is as I go along, just to have full transparency as we get started. So I'm going to actually record this because I don't want to trust or rely on YouTube to have this file ready for me. So hopefully when I do hit the start recording button, things won't die because this is a brand new computer. This is my first time having like 30 programs open at once. So hoping that it all doesn't, okay, I just want to see where the recordings go when I hit record. Okay, so I can check that later, but yeah, all right. Okay, so I am Erica Drayton Wrights, and I'm going to go through a process of how I went from writing something to, doing all of the steps that I needed to do in order to get myself to this point, which is a print copy of my book. Now, I'm not going to show you how I did this one specifically because there are a lot of nuances that are different, or very, very different from the average book that you would get or you would see off of the shelf. For example, something like this, which is more of a novel. It's an actual novel, so it's got chapters. It's got, it's a normal shape in comparison to mine that I just had done, which is more of a square. So there was a lot more that went into doing this that unless you know what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend. You're gonna probably want to do a book that's more akin to this, where it's just, page upon page and chapter upon chapter, and your book might not be like this thick, but it'll, probably be considerably thick. So I'm going to show you how I get and, get to the print version, and I'm going to start with the most obvious thing is you have to write the story. So I took the first book of The Wizard of Oz. So this is The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I just put it on its own separate Scrivener file. Now, I use Scrivener to write all the stories that went into the book that I published, and I would say it is the leading software program that most writers use, fiction and nonfiction. So if you don't have Scrivener, I would recommend getting it. It is not expensive. It is only a one-time fee. I believe it's usually about $50 if you pay for it just outright. However, if you participate in what's called NaNoWriMo, which only happens during November, if you participate in that and you are able to write 50,000 words in 30 days, then you can get the program 50% off. So you would only end up spending about 25 bucks for it. It is more than worth it. It's a one-time thing. If they have any major updates, you get it automatically. It's not like you have to pay for every update like other programs usually do. There is Affinity Publisher that you can use. I don't use it and I don't recommend it. And the main reason is for what I just said about Scrivener. With Affinity Publisher, if they do a major update, you will have to pay for it, and it's usually the same price that you paid for it originally. So, for instance, I think I bought it for 30 or $40. They just did a major update in the last like year, and that major update came with a price. And I think the price was again around $30 to get the update. So unless you're willing to pay basically the same price that you pay to own it every single time they do any major update, I would not recommend using Affinity Publisher because you're not going to get those updates. And I was livid when they did that. I reached out to them and they basically told me tough. Like that's their policy that whenever they have a major update, yes, they will charge for it. They don't care. So, you know, take that how you will with whatever program you choose to use. I choose to use Scrivener right now because that is the leading program that everyone uses. So let's pretend I just wrote this story. I've got every single chapter here. I have an introduction. I've got, all of these things down here. Um, I'm actually going to remove this. This like copyright and stuff is all stuff that I borrowed from the book that I actually did. So move that down here just so I can have front matter and back matter. Now I want to quickly discuss front matter and back matter because it is an as you like it sort of situation. So most front matter would include things like the copyright the dedication page, maybe an introduction if you want to have an introduction, a or anything like that, any sort of little bit of information you want to put in front of the story before you get to it, such as a table of contents if you want to have a table of contents. This book would have a table of contents. I don't have one, but um, it would have one because the chapters have titles. So usually when the chapters have titles, you might want to put a table of contents in the beginning of the book, and that would go in what's called the front matter. And then there's the back matter, which would have things like about the author, maybe some sort of acknowledgments page, um, anything like that you would put in the back. You could put the acknowledgments page in the front if you want. It's a preference thing. What I recommend is grabbing any sort of book that's similar to what you want to do and have that book by your side when you're starting the process of actually creating the files to create a print version, because it will be very helpful to you to have it. Um, so you've written it, you've got your front and back matter. You should put them in a separate area the way I did here, where you label it exactly what it is, front matter, back matter. You've got all your chapters up here in the draft, and now you're going to quote unquote compile. Now, this is not a walkthrough on how to use the compile feature in Scrivener. It is a very um, powerful tool. It also requires a lot of knowledge to just do it. I'm not going to make anything fancy about this. I'm going to do it straight up. And one of the things that you need to know when you're going to hit the compile is you need to know the dimensions of your book. You don't want to compile this just by hitting the compile button, hit compile, and you're done, because it's likely going to be the measurements that you don't want. You need your PDF, your file, to be the exact dimensions of the physical page when it prints out for a printer. So if you're doing a 6 by 9 book, which is a normal book, let's say for a hardcover or paperback, you want to know what those dimensions are before you compile this document. So what I recommend is when you have that book that you want to mimic, you go to Amazon.com and you look up that book, because on Amazon.com it will tell you what the dimensions of the book is. So let's say Stephen King is your favorite author and you have a copy of, The Shining, and you love the way it feels, you love the size of it. You go to Amazon.com, you find that specific copy, and then you go to their details page so that you can find out what dimensions is this book, and I want to copy that. So I'm just going to go with what they have here already, which is 6 by 9, just to make it a lot easier for myself, because I don't want to let me see, which one do I want to do? 6 by 9. Yeah, I'm going to do 6 by 9. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna assign layout. Sorry, I did not think I was gonna need to do this. As is, okay. Okay, so now I'm in the compile. I'm gonna tell it, yes, I have front matter to add. Yes, I have back matter to add. Again, this is not, a walkthrough on how to use the compile feature. I'm just going through this very quickly. Hitting compile. Okay, so now it's got everything sectioned out. If you look here, I know the window's a little small, but it's showing me everything that is done. Hold on one second, I need to blow my nose. Whew, I did not think my allergies were going to flare up during this recording. I apologize. So I've got it here. It's telling me that it's going to be 339 pages. That's great. Um, Wait, I want to hold. Oh, it did say PDF down there. I'm so ridiculous. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to. Wait, this isn't what I want. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Okay, I want to export it because what I like to do, and this is only because I use InDesign to design what this is all going to look like. I don't take it straight from here as a PDF, which you can do. You can skip all of the steps that I'm about to do, but I like to format my stuff specifically in certain ways using InDesign. So because I like to do that, InDesign works best if I'm working off of a Word document. So I'm going to export this as a Word document so that I can then import it from the Word document into InDesign, which will then allow me to format each page the way that I like. So I don't need Scrivener anymore. I'm done. I've just exported it as a Word document, and I'm now going to go get it from my downloads folder. Oh, it did not do it as one document though. Oh, where is it? Here it goes. Sorry. Okay. Why did you not do it? You know what? It's fine because I can do it myself. So here we go. Here's InDesign now. Let's say I open up InDesign and now it's like, okay, I want to now have my, where are all of my documents? Okay, so I'm moving 6 by 9. So let's change this to 6 by 9, and I think I want it to be, I'm gonna say 350 pages. When I looked, it said it was 339. I want to add a couple pages just in case I make any changes to the font or anything that's going to make it go to more pages than that. So I'm going to put 350 just to be on the safe side. Um, it's going to be 6 by 9. I've got all of my margins and things. I am going to make certain changes there because now that I've done this, I'm going to hit create. One of the things that I like to use, and it's specifically from hold on, I need to find it. I had the window open, but then I closed it. It's a Amazon KDP link that I like to use in order to oh, here it is. Okay. In order to figure out like what my bleed and all of that stuff should be. So I'm going to come here. It's a print cover calculator and template. And I will provide a link to this in the video description when I'm done, but it's what I always use regardless of what site I may end up printing with. I will just come here and quickly say, okay, I'm doing black and white. I want cream paper. I'm turning the pages from left to right, right? No. right to left. And I'm going to do it in inches, and I'm doing a 6 by 9, which should be right here. Here is where you can see what all of the like normal sizes are. You can do a custom trim size. So usually what I've done is like when I had to do mine is 6 by 5. Um, by 6 by 5, and I think I had like 225 pages. So and then I can hit calculate and download the template, and it will give me all of the information that I need um, for the cover. But in this case, I'm doing one that they actually have as a normal thing. I'm going to do it's now you need to tell them exactly enter exactly what the page count is. I am going to put 350, however, because like I said, I don't know when I'm done if I'm going to have more than the 339. And you can do this step after you've done what I'm about to do in InDesign. I like to do it ahead of time because sometimes I like to do both the the interior and the cover side by side. So I'll have Photoshop open, I'll have InDesign open, and I'm working in tandem with both. And it's just a matter of basically tweaking the spine really because the dimensions of the front cover and the back cover, they don't change. If you know you're doing 6 by 9, you're doing 6 by 9. You're really getting these calculations more for how wide is your spine going to be. If your spine's going to be this wide, or this wide, it's dependent upon the type of paper that you're using and the number of pages that your book is going to be. So I will just hit calculate. So now this is what it's telling me. Like here's all the dimensions I need to know about what the spine width is based on the height of 9 inches, the full cover, all of that stuff. And so you just want to download the template because what it's going to give you is something that you would then use in Photoshop as a background that you would then take the opacity away from so that you can see it through what you're working on. And I will show you that later. But for now, let's look at the document that I now have here. So now I've got all these pages here. They're all blank. There's nothing there. You can see here are the pages here. So what we're going to work on is quickly, and I'm going to show you this very quickly because again, this is not a workshop on how to use InDesign, how to format within it. I can do a separate one if you want me to, and if you ask, I can literally spend a good hour or two just showing you all the different things you can do within InDesign. But what I do, and I'm going to show it to you from about, let's say this page here, and I'm only going to show you use with one chapter, is I take, let me open up the first chapter and I will show you what I do. Okay, copy. So now we are going to get, it looks like this thing did not, okay, so now I'm opening it. Normally it would, all the chapters would be on one document. That's what you would want. You'd want it all to be on one document because what happens is you're going to now come in here and just, this is a really quick process. You just hit click and you drag it to say, I want this to fill all the pages. And then it will drop and fill. Hold on, let me undo this. Hold on. It's processing. And the reason why you want it to basically do it this way is because if you make any changes, and this has to do with character styles or paragraph styles, then it will do it to the whole document and you don't have to worry about having to change each chapter, let's say, or anything else. You want it to carry over from page to page. In any event, you would do this, you'd have your cover page would be here and all of your other pages. I'm going to open up a document that I've already done before so that way you can see um, what a full like InDesign would look like. Oh, you know where I might have one. Oh, here we go. Okay, InDesign. Okay, let's pull up one. Let's do Stonehaven because I know I have full books there. Fifth Compass. Let's do Daxton. Okay, so this is paperback. Let's open this one. This is just to show you what a finished InDesign file would look like. Okay, so this is my finished InDesign file and it is 436 pages. So this was like the first ever novel that I did that I formatted in here. You know, I've got my front matter, I've got all of the chapters, and then if I scroll to the bottom, after the epilogue, then I've got my back matter back here. I put in a little blurb for the second book so people could get a sneak peek of the second book. I've got my about the author page, and then you always want to have a little blank page here. You'll notice that there is more space on the right hand side of this page than on the left. That has to do with the gutter and stuff like that. I won't go into what all of that means, but it is very important to know what your gutter margins are versus your inside and outside um, margins. You'll notice that there are page numbers here, and that comes from having your own master pages. So I've got my master pages here so that every time I put, I add pages, it will automatically put page numbers on the bottom. Um, and this is all things that you'll want to know when you're organizing that you won't be able to do, so to speak, if you were to do it directly from the compile feature in Scrivener. It is possible, but to me, it's easier for me to work within InDesign and do all this than it is for me to do it all within Scrivener. Don't ask me why. That's just the way that I work. I'm sure anyone else watching this might say, I could do all this in Scrivener. I don't need InDesign. If you can, perfect. It's probably a lot easier to do that than for me to bring the document from Scrivener into InDesign to then format it this way to then export it as the PDF file. So once I have this, what I'll then do is, like I said, export it as a PDF that's going to be the final. And I usually will have various versions, so I want to be able to always make sure I know which version I'm working on. So I will not only say it's the print final, usually, and what I do nowadays is I will say like this is the 6 by 9 because if I'm doing a hardcover versus paperback, the dimensions might differ slightly, so I want to make sure I know what the dimensions are. I'll even throw in the date so that way I know what day that I did this in case I make any changes tomorrow. Then I want to make sure I don't confuse this file with tomorrow's changes. So tomorrow I'll put the 18th and I'll say this is the the paperback and it's a 5 by 7, not 6 by 9. So you want to make sure that you put all these things in the title of the document so that you can keep track of everything that's going on, not just by putting it in a specific folder on your desktop. Very important to remember because you don't want to lose things. So I'm going to save this. I usually try to save it as the most recent version of Photoshop just for my own preference, but you don't have to. So then I will open the document in Adobe and here it is. So usually what I'll do is I'll do view page display to page and then I'll come back into view page display and do show cover page. So that way it puts this page on its own. So this is how it would look if you were theoretically to open any book and look at it. And you want to look at it this way just so that it can be a better representation for you on what's on the left side of the book and what's on the right side. Because certain things you want to always make sure you keep, such as, you might always want the copyright page to be on the left side, and you want to make sure that your first chapter starts on the right side, not on the left side. There are little things like that that you want to make sure are visible and available to you when you scroll through. So you want to make sure that your chapters start on a new page and, maybe that they start in the middle or, things like that. And you want to make sure that you can see that very clearly. So let me zoom out. So you can see the page is shaped the way the book is. So it's not 8.5 by 11. This is shaped the way I want it. And the reason why you have inside margins and outside margins. So the inside margins are the margins in where the pages meet. And the reason why you want that gap to be wider is if you have a 1,000-page book, when someone opens the book, then you want them to be able to read the entire line. So you need to add a bit more of a gap on the interior margins so that when they open it and the binding is so much, they can still open the book and clearly read the words and not have to like break the book apart in order to get to the closest to the center of the margin in order to read it, right? So that's why you want to know how many pages you have so that you can calculate, or so that Amazon or whatever tool you're using can easily calculate what that margin for the inside interior margins are going to be. And then your outside margins are basically everything on the exterior outside of the page that don't need to be as wide. They could be slightly narrower. You don't want them too narrow because you don't want accidentally with printing issues for the words to come right off the page, right? So you want to give yourself some buffer, and then you have your top and your bottom margins, which also will have their own specific margins, and you'll decide what you want up there. Do you want it to have your name on one side and the book series title and the title on the other side? These are all decisions you need to make and have and know before you get to this process. You want to have all those answers already lined out for yourself. What's the font going to be? What's the size going to be? You want to make sure you know that you're using indents that are like zero point 0.3 inches and that your spacing in between is only, 1.3 inches and all of these things that will make it look just as professional as a Stephen King novel. You don't want it to look like you just slapped this together and it's janky and it doesn't look professional at all. You want to make sure that it has some level of professionalism when someone is opening your book and they're reading it. So, you've got all of this, and then you want to make sure that your at least one page in the back is blank. I do 3 pages in the back are blank, and that's just because again, in case the printer has an issue and for whatever reason they don't print all the blank pages, they may only do one. You want to make sure that it's not an important page that gets missed. So I put, usually they'll say they don't want more than 3 blank pages in the back, so you'll want to look at what their requirements are. I've used Lulu.com. I'm about to use Ingram Spark in the next week or so, and I've obviously also used Kindle, Amazon KDP. So this book right here that I have that I just got recently, this one is from this one is lulu.com. Excellent quality. I love it. I'm not disappointed at all with the print quality, with the interior pages, with the cover. Perfect. Same thing with Amazon KDP. I've tried their hardcover and I have tried their paperback, and they have great quality. I can't say anything about Ingram Spark yet because I haven't used them, but I will be using them within the next month, and I can give my review on KDP, on lulu.com, and on um, Ingram Spark soon. So those are the three like most popular ones that people use. Those are the three that I would recommend if you're going to be making a print copy, to use any of those. They each have their own specific dimensions though, so that might dictate which one you use. Unless you're using a standard like 6x9, you can use all three. They're all going to have a 6x9 option, but unless you're doing something like me where I'm using a square, it makes it harder to find which one is not only going to do a square shape, but the square shape that's the size that I want. So for that reason, I'm not using Amazon KDP because they don't have a square option that I want. Hold on one second, I have to blow my nose. Hi, Silent Willow, who is in the chat right now. This about page is from like a decade ago. Ignore it. I'm just using it as an example. It's not for real. I'm not printing this book. I have not printed this book. It's not available to purchase. So if you're looking at this about page right now, you're saying I need to update it. You are correct. It is a about page that is about 10 years old. So yeah, don't use it. Don't follow it. The website obviously doesn't exist. Um, it is very old, very, very outdated. My about page is completely different right now. Um, okay, so you've got this file, right? So now this is your final print file. It's 6x9. It's all the pages. You've scrolled through it. You've checked all the things. You've done all your spot checks, if you will. It's not your final spot check. Your final will be when you get the proof in hand, so don't worry. But you want to try to get it as close to what you want as possible before you get to sending it and to actually get a proof copy. So you've got this file, you've got your PDF, now you set it aside. Your next step now is to get to the cover. So when you do the cover, remember that file that we downloaded before from here? We downloaded this template. So you're going to go and now you're going to open that template. So I'm going to open the template now. And when you open it, it's going to give you a PDF and a PNG version of the file, okay? I usually will use the PNG because I'm going to use it within Photoshop. So what I do is I open it and I get what the dimensions are. And then I create a new file here in Photoshop. I'm going to call it you can call it whatever name you want to call it. And so now I'm going to put it as the width of 7875 by, oh, too wide. I'm going to do transparent. Okay, now I'm going to create it. So now here is, if you could believe it, the front, the spine, and the back cover. And I'm not going to show you how to design it. That's not what this is about, but I will show you when I place the image here. Where's my Finder window? Oh, here it is. Okay, so now I take the PNG version and I drop it in here. So now, boom, here it is. Perfect. So what I typically will do when I'm creating my cover is I will turn it down to about 50%, just enough for me to see it, because now I need to create everything and I need to make sure everything is within the white space and all of that stuff. So I will then lock it in place so that I can't move it by accident or anything. But now I build on top of it. I know where my barcode's going to be. I know all of these things, right? And this is actually in the reverse because I think I did it wrong. I should have done left to right. Okay, so let me fix this real quick because I knew it didn't feel right. I'm like, wait, why would I choose this? Okay, so let me give you this one, which is actually correct. Okay, so here is how it should actually look. All right, and then I would turn this down to, whoop, too far, 50%, lock it in place, create the book. Now I will show you an example of my 100 book so that you can see what I do before I move on to the next couple of steps. And 100 words, the books, the first 100, paperback. Okay, let's open this InDesign file and you can see how I created. Oh, I just opened the InDesign. I didn't mean to open that. Oh, shoot. I meant to open the Photoshop file. Oops, I forgot I was doing the cover. Okay, hold on. It's opening the wrong thing. Okay, it's actually right here, so I didn't need to go through all that. Let's open this. Okay, so here is this, but now watch. I'm going to turn this on, and like I said, I use Lulu, so this is theirs. But you can see I have this on and I have it faded so that I can make sure that everything that I'm doing is not going to be accidentally cut off by their bleed system. So they gave me a file that I downloaded and I put up here, and that's what this is right here. So if I wanted to, or if I needed to make sure that things were perfectly aligned, I can make sure based on my book that I have that it's not going to get cut off in any way when I get it back from the printer. So that's what you would do to create your cover, and then you would take that and you would export it as a PDF. Again, you want it to be these dimensions because this is exactly what they're going to use when they create your book, from the spine to everything else. You want to make sure that it is exactly how you want it. Um, okay, so now you should have two files. You should have, and I will show you what I do. So now I have, this is multiple file levels deep, as you can see, but so I've got hardcover files, and I've got paperback for Ingram Sparks and Lulu. So I've got all of these files here, but they're all very meticulously organized. So when I did my Lulu print of the 100 things, I've got The cover, I have it here as a PNG, although that's not what I use. They wanted the PDF, but I do have it as a PNG. Um, so I've got the PDF of it. So here's the PDF of my interior files. Um, here's the PDF of the cover. And essentially what I now will do is I will go into, Lulu.com, whatever you use, and now you just upload your files. You have two files, that's all you need. You just need your PDF of the cover and you need your PDF of the interior, and you'll see that I named it that way. So the PDF of the cover is actually named um, cover 7.5 by 7.5. And then the interior as well, the files are also the same size because they're paperback, and they're also 7.5 by 7.5. Okay, so the contractors, as you can probably hear, are here and they're being very loud. So I am unfortunately going to have to end here, but this is basically the end of what I do. So that's all like 8 steps. I'm sorry I didn't actually say what step I was on um, as I got to it, but the 8th step is to take these two PDF files now that you have, and I can change the display view so that way it shows the way that it showed before. Oh no, yeah. Okay, so I like to look at it this way so that way I know I've got everything the way that I want, um, with what's on the left and then what's on the right. Um, I have since changed this, so this is not what it's going to look like. I made a lot of changes, and I will go over that right now very quickly. So, okay, let me put my screen back and slightly bigger because I'm going to show you my book now. So now you went through Lulu.com, you ordered a proof copy, you waited for it to come. It took about 2 weeks, I think, for mine to arrive. Here it is. I got it in hand. You're nowhere near done because now you have to tear this thing apart. And one of the things that I did, and I will be transparent and I will share it with you, is I wrote down a list of all of the issues that I found. So I have right here my notes, and with my wife, she helped me. We She got a copy and I got a copy because I bought two proof copies. Even though you shouldn't need to. You should only really get one because you may need to get another proof, which I will. So you don't want to spend that kind of money multiple times. It's not that expensive, but it can be if you're doing multiple proof orders, and depending on the size of the book, it could cost more to do that. So you might want to consider just making sure you get at least one so that you can look at it. So here's my one, and here is the list of all of the issues that I found with it. And there were many, and I'm still not done fixing it before I can order my next set of proof copies. But I made a lot of the changes. That's why they're checked off. So I know a lot of the things I did. Like one of the major things I did wrong, which I felt so stupid, is usually when you have a book, you lay it down on the table like so. And I did the spine upside down. What an idiot. So I had to flip the spine so that it's not upside down like this, so that it reads better. Because right now it reads upside down and it shouldn't. And that was the first error that my wife spotted immediately was she said, "You're upside down." I was like, "What?" Yeah, I am. So I rotated the spine so that that will be corrected. And then when it came to the interior, a lot of the things I didn't like was the huge page number. Didn't realize the page number was going to be that big. Wow, I didn't realize there was going to be this much white space between the title and the number of the story number. So I brought that much closer together. I don't particularly like when my story starts with a quote that it does that with the quotation, I think it looks a little bit silly. Um, so I'm removing that. So now it will just be all the same size. I feel like it's the font is too big. So I made the font slightly smaller. So many things I changed. So many. Another one is while I love the size of this, my wife likes the size. I am going to test Ingram Spark, which does a size that's 1 inch smaller on either side because this is a perfect square. So this is 7.5 by 7.5. I am going to try the Ingram Spark paperback 6.5 by 6.5, and I'm going to see if I like that one better. If I like that one better, then I am going to go with Ingram Spark to do the paperback. Um, so I'm glad I did this. Unfortunately, Lulu.com nor Amazon KDP have 6.5 by 6.5 as a print option, so that's why I'm going with Ingram Spark. And that will be the next proof copy that I get. It will be from Ingram Spark. It will be the 6.5 by 6.5 option, and I will try it. And Silent Willow is not really an oh no situation. This will happen. It is highly unlikely. It's just as impossible as a writer not needing to have their book edited that you get a proof copy and you don't need to make these kind of changes. You will, I guarantee it. You will not get a proof copy that is 100% perfect. Never happens. Even with the Stephen Kings and the J.K. Rowlings of the world, their proof copies are not perfect. They will have errors, and it will be errors that will get all the way to the point of it's published and people are buying it and they're getting it in their house, and you will look at the book and you will see that there are errors in the book, and it will be because they did not find it, they did not catch it for whatever reason. The printer messed up and they accidentally printed the same page twice. Those are things you can't really control. You try to control what you can, which is just what you're given, and you hope that every time it's printed and it's sent to someone, it is going to look and appear the same way when they get it, right? So that's all that I have for this walkthrough. It was about 45 minutes, so not too bad. I figured it would be that long. If you have any questions based on this, if you want me to go over and do specific videos on just using InDesign, on just using Photoshop, or even on just using Scrivener and the compile feature, I can totally do those walkthroughs. And I am more than willing to do them. And I promise if I do them, it will be when my basement library slash office is finished so that the banging that you're hearing right now will not be a part of the video. I promise you that. If I should make any more how-to videos, it will not be till March when all of this will be done. Okay, so just to go over it again, what you would do for all of the steps in this, um, just so we're all on the same page. Let me go over what the steps are again one more time. Hold on, let me close out these windows that I'm wanting to open up for some reason. Okay, step one, write the story in whatever program you want to write, whether that's Scrivener or what have you. Step two, you want to either compile it through Scrivener, export it as a Word document, and then import it into InDesign again, however you want to do it. Step three for me is to do InDesign, following all the steps with the front matter, the back matter, all of those fancy things. That's what I do. You can skip that step if you want. Then you want to have your front matter and back matter perfect. You want to check them twice, check them 3 times. You want to make sure you do important things like having your ISBN number in the copyright page. Um, you want to make sure you have a title page. You want to decide if you want to have title page, if you want, your chapters to be separate and how you want your chapters to look. And all of those things you need to have and you need to go over is step four. Make sure that all of them are as perfect as you can get them. Then you want to export your file as a PDF. That includes your cover and your interior. Those are the only two major files you're going to need, and they have to be a PDF. They can't be a .docx or a .png for the cover. No, they must be a PDF. It will tell you they need to be a PDF. And this is for any program you use, whether it's Lulu, Amazon KDP, or IngoSpark. All of them are going to ask you for the PDF version, and they need to be in the dimensions of the book that you want to have printed. Then, step 8, the final step, is importing those two files into the program and then saying, yes, I want to order my proof copy. If everything is right, if everything looks good, you will get the ability to order the proof copy. I will tell you that Lulu and um, Amazon KDP are just about instantaneous. If your files are perfect at 100%, you can, at that very moment that you upload and import the files, order your proof copy. IngroSpark, not so much. It takes about a day, maybe two, as much as 3 days for them to then send you an email confirmation saying your files look good. You could go ahead and order your proof copy, and then you could go into their site and order the proof copy. So just keep that timeline in mind. Also, um, Amazon KDP, for what I know right now, is the fastest with shipping. So with KDP, it's not Amazon Prime. They're not going to give you Amazon Prime shipping where you can get it in a day, but you can get it within 10 days. Lulu that I ordered said, almost up to 3 weeks. So I wasn't expecting my book to arrive until honestly January 21st. So I was stunned when it showed up like a couple days ago. It literally showed up like 4 or 5 days ago. So it was actually 2 weeks, but they will tell you to expect as long as 15 business days. I don't know what the IngoSpark deadline is or shipping estimates are. I will, let you know that when I go through the process myself, but keep that in mind that if you're trying to do pre-orders or you're trying to set dates like that, you want to factor in how long it takes for you to not only then you know, put all this together, get the order through to get the proof copy, how long it takes for the proof copy to get to you, how long it will then take you after you receive the proof copy to make your changes and corrections, to then re-upload it into the system, to then wait for the proof copy to come in the mail again. Okay. All of those things you need to take into account when you're creating and assessing what your pre-order is going to be and look like and your dates in the future. Don't trip yourself up by thinking you could do a pre-order and then you're sitting waiting and you're not ready to hit the go ahead and go live because you're waiting for a proof copy to come in that hasn't come yet. Give yourself 3 to 6 months buffer on when you want to set that pre-order so you give yourself plenty of time to make all these changes and corrections. So good luck. Ask me any questions that you want in the chat after on this video in the comments, and I will try to answer them, and I will try to make more videos like this if this was helpful to you at all. Okay, so the recording just stopped. So now I'm going to stop streaming and end the broadcast. Silent Willow, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Same thing goes for you if you have any questions. Please feel free to leave them in the comments of this page. It is an unlisted video at the moment. I don't know if I'm going to actually list it on my channel. Um, they do ship internationally. Yes, it will probably be a bit cost a bit more to ship internationally, but again, consider that it will. I think they ship based on weight of the book. So if I were to have this book shipped to me versus like a tome of like 1,000-page book, I'm sure the shipping might be slightly more for the fatter, thicker book. But yeah, they do ship internationally, of course, in like all over the globe. As far as I'm concerned, all three of them do. I don't, take my word for it on IngoSpark just yet because I haven't used them yet. But I know for a fact that yes, Amazon KDP and Lulu.com will ship international. They have international fees. They will also help you to set up, selling your book internationally as well. So if you are in a different country and you want to sell in the United States or in other countries in your own country, they have all of that pre-set up so that you don't have to worry about things like taxes and how much to charge for the book and shipping, and they do it all for you, which is great. So yeah, and I will have an update later when I actually go live and put this up for pre-order, which I have every intention of doing. This book will be available for pre-order. Hopefully before the summertime, I will have not just this book, but the second one as well. And before the end of the year, the third one. So I have a huge goal of having at least three, if not four, of my 100 word collections out available to order and receive and have in your hands before the end of the year. Mark my words on that. So I'm actually going to go to work now because, that's what I get paid to do. And